Hello, I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I am a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who loves permaculture and likes to talk about books. So let's talk about books. So the concept for today's video, I have a little free library. I am a steward. So I recently have been getting a lot of book donations. I think it has to do with the Christmas season. People are very charitable at this time of year. I have an overfull library and I have to do some rearranging, and I also have a full box of books that I have in my home that is overflow from the library. So I'm going to go through books that I've had donated to my little free library, and we're going to learn about them together. Dogs Don't Wear Sneakers. This is a children's book by Laura Numeroff and illustrated by Joe Matthew. Oh wow, this is by the author of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, an absolute children's classic. This was a fun one. It is something to inspire the imagination. It's basically anthropomorphizing animals and putting them into funny situations. And I think that it really goes above and beyond in terms of the illustration of getting you to picture an entire scene with just a simple concept. Like the first page, dogs don't wear sneakers, and then they're in a marathon and you get to see all of their fun little athletic wear. My little cat Pebble is scurrying around right now if you hear anything weird. The next book that I have is not a fiction book. It is called The Well-Tempered Sentence by Gordon. It's this absolutely gorgeous little hardcover. I think I'm gonna keep this book. I know that might be a little controversial, but I do donate a lot of books to my little free library. It is about grammar. At least the first page that I turned to is the period. And it is this looks like an absolute joy. I don't know why I'm so drawn to this, but I really want to read this. So I'm going to hold on to this. Very exciting. Cloudmaker by Malcolm Brooks is a soaring tale set during the Depression amid Amelia Earhart's final flight. In the summer of 1937, 14-year-old Houston Huck Finn finds a dead body in a local creek, a Lindbergh flight watch on its wrist. It seems like a sign, for Huck is building his own airplane. That summer also marks the mysterious arrival of his cousin Annalise. As Huck's airplane takes shape, so does his understanding of the world, including the battle over worldliness versus godliness that bears on the lives of both cousins. I would love to hear if you've read it. I don't think I'm interested in this at all, but the cover art is beautiful. This field is very lovely. So this is The German Nurse by M.J. Hollows. Her past could kill you. I literally don't know how to say this town. Is it Guernsey? 1940. A war storms through Europe. Soldiers and young children are evacuated from the island, leaving their parents and loved ones behind to face the invading German army on their own. Her love could save you. One of the few remaining policemen on the island, Jack must protect not only his friends, family, but also the woman he loves, Johanna, a Jewish nurse from Germany whose secret faith could prove fatal to them both. Then Nazis come. So this does not seem like anything that I would want to read. I don't have anything against historical fiction. I just feel like it has to be a very specific type. I'm not really interested in love stories that much either. Gun Machine by Warren Ellis. The cover is pretty good. I mean, has a gun on it, so. After a shootout claims the life of his partner in a condemned tenement building on Pearl Street, Detective John Tallow unwittingly stumbles across an apartment stacked high with guns. When examined, each weapon leads to a different, previously unsolved murder. Confronted with the sudden emergence of hundreds of unsolved homicides, Tallow discovers that he's walked in on a veritable deal with the devil, an unholy bargain that has made possible the rise of some of Manhattan's most prominent captains of industry. That sounds really, really interesting, actually. Okay, this says bloodier and more intriguing than any episode of Law and Order or CSI. Definitely not like anything that I've ever read before, or that I ever tend to pick up, but it seems kind of cool. Sold on a Monday by Christina McMorris. It's got a sad little kid on the cover. It looks like it's historical. 2 children for sale. The sign is a last resort. It sits on a farmhouse porch in 1931, but could be found anywhere in an era of breadlines, bank runs, and broken dreams. It could have been written by any mother facing impossible choices. That doesn't sound that fun. For startling reporter Ellis Reed, the gut-wrenching scene evokes memories of his family's dark past. He snaps a photograph of the children, not meant for publication. I'm wondering if this is based on any real thing. But when it leads to his big break, the consequences are more devastating than he ever imagined. Oh yeah, okay, sorry, it does say, inspired by an actual newspaper photograph that stunned the nation, sold on a Monday, is a powerful novel of love, redemption, and the unexpected paths that bring us home. That sounds pretty good, actually, but I don't think I'm super interested in it. It has a blurb by the lady who wrote Water for Elephants, and I did not like Water for Elephants at all. I am going to go grab some more books from the little library. I'm going to put most of these back. I'm going to hold on to Gun Machine and the Well-Tempered Sentence. I'll be back. I have more. I have 5 more. I'm taking them like 5 at a time because even though it's in front of my house, it's the library that I steward, it feels really skeezy taking a big stack of books out of the little library and bringing them into my house. It's like I'm running a scheme or something. The Life We Bury by Alan Eskens. Pretty stunning cover, in my opinion. It's giving a vibe. College student Joe Talbert is on deadline to complete a writing assignment for an English class. His task is to interview a stranger and write a brief biography. So Joe heads to a nearby nursing home to find a willing subject. There he meets Carl Iverson, a dying Vietnam veteran and a convicted murderer. With only a few months to live, Carl has been medically paroled after spending 30 years in prison for the crimes of rape and murder. As Joe writes about Carl's life, especially Carl's valor in Vietnam, he cannot reconcile the heroism of the soldier with the despicable acts of the convict. With the help of Leela, his skeptical neighbor, Joe throws himself into uncovering the truth, but he is hamstrung in his efforts by having to deal with his dangerously dysfunctional mother, the guilt of leaving his autistic brother vulnerable, and a haunting childhood memory. This sounds absolutely like something I would never want to read. Sorry, this is like weirdly serious, like super serious, but like it doesn't seem like it would be handled very deftly. To have all of those things in one book just seems like you're throwing a bunch of like trauma into a book. This does not seem like my thing at all, ever. While I Was Gone by Sue Miller. This is from Oprah's Book Club. How exciting. Psychological drama. That basically means that I'm out at this point. Follows the life of Jo Becker, a middle-aged woman living in a quiet town with her husband, a minister. Jo's seemingly content life is disrupted when an old friend reappears, bringing with her memories of a tumultuous past. As Jo grapples with the complexities of identity, morality, and the choices that define us, the novel explores themes of self-discovery and the consequences of long-buried secrets. That sounds so boring. I'm gonna put that aside. Okay, the next one got a little bit mangled. because somebody put it behind all of the other books when they were shoving their book in. So that is The Golden Cage by Camilla Lackberg. Faye has loved Jack since they were students at business school. Jack, the perpetual golden boy, grew up wealthy, unlike Faye, who worked hard to bury her dark past. Why is it always that? Why do they always have a dark past? Okay, when Jack needed help launching a company, Faye supported him, waitressing by day and working as a strategist by night. Now she's a stay-at-home mother, wealthier than ever, but removed from the business world. When Faye catches Jack having an affair, the facade of their life shatters. Faye is emotionally wrought and financially devastated. This sounds, again, like one of the most boring things I could ever read. I have no interest in business or an affair. I'm not that interested in that, so that's a dud as well. Okay, this one I've been kind of interested in. It's been in there for a long time. It's called Lying on the Couch by Irvin D. Yalom. It doesn't have a plot summary, it just has blurbs, but it says a dazzling psychiatric whodunit. Seems a little bit interesting, and I guess it's quite a bit about psychotherapy or psychiatry. Kind of interesting, but it seems really pretty long for just trying something out. We have an author that I recognize, Jodi Picoult, Sing You Home. And then there's a picture with a lady with a guitar case. There's a soundtrack. Oh my god, there's a CD in here, guys. We have a CD that has original music by Ellen Wilber and lyrics by Jodi Picoult. That's wild. Whoa. There's an exchange bank receipt. This person's balance was $180. Music has set the tone for most of Jo Baxter's life. There's the melody that reminds her of the summer she spent rubbing baby oil on her stomach in pursuit of the perfect tan. A dance beat that makes her think of using a fake ID to slip into a nightclub. A dirge that marked the year she spent trying to get pregnant. For better or worse, music is the language of memory. It is also the language of love. This is not for me. It comes with a CD with original music, and it was still only $28. Being a hardcover, that's kind of wild, honestly. So I'm gonna put this back, and I'm gonna come back with more. So a bit of a bunch of duds on that one. I'm really gonna have to show you some footage of all of the spiders. There's so many giant spiders in my little free library right now. I think all of the spiders went into hiding for warmth. One is a John Grisham book called The Pelican Brief. I feel like I've heard of this before, but maybe not. In suburban Georgetown, a killer's Reeboks. I don't know why when I first read that, I was like, what the is a Reebok?
Esos son Reebok o son Nike.
In suburban Georgetown, a killer's Reeboks whisper on the floor of a posh home. In a CDDC porno house, a patron is swiftly garroted to death. The next day, America learns that 2 of its Supreme Court justices have been assassinated. And in New Orleans, a young law student prepares its legal brief. That's already way too much death for me. Like, I know that I expressed some interest in Gun Machine, but I think that's because it was like, I don't know, more of like a mystery? Whereas this just seems like a lot of murder, which I'm not really into. The difference between watching CSI, where the person's already dead, compared to watching Criminal Minds, where like 3 people have to get murdered before they can even start to like try to figure it out. The next book I have is Sandstorm by Alan Lee. CIA operative Nora Mosa is trained to kill when the situation calls for it. She is also capable of disappearing into thin air. Being efficient, deadly, and beautiful, however, won't be enough to protect her after her mentor and veteran CIA analyst, Erica Janway, is assassinated. Suspecting she might be next, Nora flees, turning to the only person she can trust, her former lover, ex-CIA agent Alex Cobbs. This sounds terrible. I mean, it sounds kind of fun. If it's anything like the X-Files, it'll be fun, but it sounds kind of awful. The next book is On Chesil Beach by Ian McEwan. In 1962, Florence and Edward celebrate their wedding in a hotel on the Dorset coast. Yet as they dine, the expectation of their martial duties... The expectation of their marital duties weighs over them, and unbeknownst to both, the decision they make this night will resonate through their lives. This looks very short. I'm kind of curious. I think I'm gonna hold on to this one just to see, because I feel like I would be able to read it really quickly, but it also could be incredibly boring. Then we have Painted Horses by Malcolm Brooks, which I feel like I've heard before.
Hi, YouTube.
Do you want to learn about Painted Horses by Malcolm Brooks?
I feel like I've heard that before.
I feel like I've heard that before too. Doesn't it sound familiar? Montana, 1956.
I want Painted Horses.
A West that is still very much wild.
Oh, they're about real horses?
Catherine is a young archaeologist arriving at a canyon as deep as the devil's own appetites. Wow. And challenged to find anything in it worth preserving. Okay.
Like a diamond?
John H. is a former Mustanger and veteran of the U.S. Army's last mounted cavalry campaign.
Not gay. Very straight.
With an intuitive genius for breaking horses and a drive to pursue one last wild thing. This sounds awful.
A genius at breaking horses?
Yeah.
So just like throwing a blanket at it and just going like,
Catherine must choose between the competing demands of love and ambition, tradition and progress. Yeah, that does not sound very good. The Surrogate by Louise Jensen. Kat and her husband Nick have tried everything to become parents. All they want is a child to love. Have they tried adoption? Is a question that I have. But they are beginning to lose hope. Then a lucky encounter with Kat's childhood friend Lisa gives them one last chance. Kat and Lisa were once close as sisters. The secrets they share mean their trust is for life. Or is it? Just when the couple's dream seems to be within reach, Kat begins to suspect that she is being watched, and Nick is telling her lies. This sounds awful. I don't know, like, any horror that's associated with, like, having a child or, like, pregnancy is not for me. I just don't think that it's that cool. This book here is The Crossing by Michael Connelly, and it is a Bosch novel. Detective Harry Bosch has retired from the LAPD, but half-brother defense attorney Mickey Holler needs his help. A woman has been brutally murdered in her bed, and all evidence points to Holler's client, former gang member turned family man. The murder rap seems ironclad, but Mickey is sure it's a setup. I just feel like maybe I could point out that you could be both a gang member and a family man at the same time. There's plenty of people who do it for their families, I feel like. Soon his investigation leads him inside the police department, where he realizes that the killer he's been tracking has also been tracking him. Now this one is a book published by Patagonia, and it seems kind of interesting. It is called Let My People Go Surfing, The Education of a Reluctant Businessman by Ivan Chouinard. Oh, it is a philosophical manual for the employees of Patagonia. This is the story of an attempt to do more than change a single corporation. It is an attempt to challenge the culture of consumption that is at the heart of the global ecological crisis. This seems kind of interesting, but I think it might make me more and more bitter about how the world is currently, and how as a worker, you just can't fucking do anything about it. I think at this point I'm going to put this back. I just get the sense that this is going to be one of those things that makes me less happy. those are all of the books that I have in my little free library. I've left with one book that I'm really, really excited about, and it's The Well-Tempered Sentence, and it's about grammar. But it's just such a beautiful book, or I guess maybe it's more about punctuation than grammar. The next book that I'm kind of interested in, and feel weird about being interested in, is Gun Machine by Warren Ellis. The concept of finding a bunch of guns that are all linked to a murder is really interesting to me. Then there's this book on Chesil Beach. Considering how little the back tells us and how spaced out this text is, I kind of want to figure out what this is about, you know? So that's it. Maybe I will do a follow-up, which is my wrap-up of reading these 3 books, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know, is your little free library like mine? Because mine is full of some pretty boring adult books, which does give you an interesting glimpse into what people are reading in the real world and also what they're willing to get rid of. And have a great week. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.